The dangerous hitter, and Abreu. Underneath it, he popped it up. Hayward points to his center fielder, and that will end it. The Dodgers sweep the Red Sox. And for only the second time on a Sunday this season, Boston loses the baseball game. Dodgers a half dozen homers, including one that went 473 feet from Ohtani. They win it 9-6.
I even forgot about that stupidity. The idea that the Red Sox had won every 14-1 on Sundays until last night. I'd totally forgotten about that. Disappointing weekend for the Red Sox in Los Angeles, getting swept by the Dodgers, frankly, in a series where they should have won at least a couple of those games. And I would say at least a couple, I should say at least one, but could have won a couple of those games last night, despite they had leads in all three. The Red Sox led in all three games against the Dodgers, end up going 0 for 3, nonetheless still in the thick of the wild card race. This is where we are going to begin tonight on the Baseball Hour. We'll open up the phones right away. 617-779-0985 is your number. And as you know, I was out all of last week as the Red Sox wrapped up the first half of the season. I thought it was an important week for them. Or I should say I was out last week as they played the All-Star game. I was around the week where they wrapped up the first half of the season, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you about the series with the Royals over the weekend. And we do have a lot to catch up on. Again, 617-779-0985. So, first of all, let me tell you what we're going to do during the course of the hour. I'm going to start with the Dodgers series. I do want to get to Jarren Duran in the All-Star game. You know, Jimmy, there were skeptics at this very station about Jarren Duran being in the All-Star game at all.
Shocking.
There were skeptics, cynics. In fact, downright cruel.
I don't think you should say that about Tyler Milliken.
To Jarren Duran and what he stands for before he went into the All-Star game, boy, did he shut them up.
Milliken's allowed to have an opinion, Tony.
And Craig Breslow, I actually saw this at home before I went out of town. Craig Breslow on the broadcast talking about what the Red Sox were doing or going to do at the trade deadline. Took immediate note of it because I wanted to address it when I came back here. And I should add, by the way, that I am, and not to bitch about this or complain, but I'm kind of jet lagged. I went overseas. So across the pond, as they say, Jimmy. So my clock is all screwed up. I'm 5 hours ahead. I'm ready to go to sleep if you want to know the truth. But that is neither here nor there. So here's where I'm going to start with this series against the Dodgers. They should have won 2 out of 3. They were up in all 3 games. They're up 1-0 in the late innings on Friday night. Lost, gave up the grand slam to Freddie Freeman. They were up again on Saturday night, blew it twice. Kenley Jansen gave up a game-tying home run to Enrique Hernandez. Oh, you weren't awake for it? Or you didn't get to see it live? Tell you what, let's relive it, Jimmy. Let's play that.
Hernandez rips one, left center field. This game is tied. Well, the focus on a former Dodger trying to do it to his own team. It's a former Red Sox that strikes. For Kenley Jansen, his first blown save since April 16th when it comes in his return to Dodger Stadium.
You know, for all the and I say for all the issues, the Red Sox have had a nice season up to this point. They've had to sort of ebb and flow a little bit, but they've hit their stride. They're a playoff team now, or effectively a playoff team now, tied in the loss column with the Kansas City Royals for the final playoff spot in the American League. Lots of good stuff to talk about. How do you lose that game on Saturday night? How do you lose that one, Kenley Jansen? So I find this particularly frustrating. We had a caller today during Felger and Mazz say that Alex Cora should have brought Jansen out for a second inning. He didn't. That's why they blew the lead the second time. I would tell you Jansen should have nailed it down the first time. To me, that was my gripe. Enrique Hernandez is an easy out. He's an easy out. He looks to hook everything. He admitted it. I remember him saying once in an interview during, I don't know if it was one of the interviews he did during ESPN right with a game, or it might have been after a game in which he hit a home run or what have you. But he said, I try to hook everything. I try to pull everything. Everybody knows it. I'm at my best when I hit the ball the other way. It's something Alex Cora tried to drill into his head. So what does Kenley Jansen do? He throws a cutter that hangs over the middle of the plate that Hernandez can turn on and hit out of the ballpark. What a way to lose that game. That's the one that killed them. Saturday night was really the one that killed them. And I had mentioned to you in the final week of the first half, the Red Sox bullpen was sort of the untold story of this year's team. They've been doing really well with their bullpen at the end of the game. Kenley Jansen had blown one save all year long, had not given up a home run until that ball to Hernandez on Saturday night. It was a costly one. So again, think of it. If the Red Sox win just that one game, they're 10 games over going into Colorado. Instead, it's 8. That one loss on Saturday was huge. My concern is that ownership and management will now use that one game to focus on or to stay away from the idea of making a significant move. I guess that's what my question would be for those of you out there tonight. Does the weekend change your opinion of the team? Because from my standpoint, it should not. I'm worried that it may change what they do. Certainly, indications are over the weekend that the Red Sox are prepared to add at the deadline. Jimmy Stewart, if we could play that Buster Olney cut now, this would be a good time to do it. This was only right before the game started last night, talking to Carl Ravitch about the trade deadline, about what the Red Sox may do with the trade deadline, sort of a last-minute report from Buster before the game began. Here's the exchange between Carl Ravitch and Buster Olney.
We're 9 days until the trade deadline. A lot of teams are asking themselves, are we going to be buyers? Are we going to be sellers? Well, in this case, the Dodgers and the Red Sox appear as if they're going to be big buyers. The Dodgers, of course, looking for starting pitching. Garrett Crochet has been talked a lot about in the Dodgers organization. And on the Red Sox side, they also are in the market for starting pitching. No waffling this year compared to the last 2 seasons. We'll be talking a lot about this during the course of tonight's game, Carl.
Yeah, very encouraging conversation we had with that guy right there, Alex Cora, who certainly made it sound like, maybe unlike Craig Breslow did when I spoke to him a few weeks ago, where we're kind of trying to do and find things that would work. He made it sound like we are really invested.
Okay, we are really invested. Jimmy Stewart, do you believe that?
No.
Why not?
Because the media reports are from other executives around the league that the Red Sox still haven't made a decision. And Breslow's wishy-washy because he has no power. Cora's trying to pump up and put pressure on upper management. And Sam Kennedy's like, yep, absolutely. We always put our money into the team. We always invest in our team. So there are people lying here. I trust what other teams are saying about the Red Sox than what the Red Sox are saying about the Red Sox.
As well, you should. You should trust the other teams more because they're giving you a more honest assessment. The Red Sox are playing some PR games. Not that I blame them. With the beating they have taken at the trade deadline over the last couple of years, people rightfully question whether or not they really have the balls to pony up, to ante up at a time like this. And frankly, we all know they weren't expecting to win this year, at least not at this level. Breslow wasn't. I think they thought they might, going into the season, I think believe it or not, I think they wanted to make some moves during the winter, but they couldn't close the deal. Whether it was Breslow, whether it was Tom Werner talking out of school, but I think they wanted to do more than they did. But they couldn't, for whatever reason, or didn't. So they ended up holding their Johnsons in their hands, left holding the bag again. Then they had some injuries. Everybody thought they'd go belly up, and to their credit, they have fought. So they're in it. But the idea of whether or not they would add, buy or sell at the deadline, to me was laughable that we would even be debating it. It was so painfully apparent that they needed to add.
Tony, they need to add right now. They need at least one bullpen arm and a starter, and they need to add that now. The right-handed bat should come sooner, but the Red Sox need to add right now, this very minute. Don't wait until the deadline. Be aggressive. Be in it. Get somebody with term. Do something to not only prove that what you're speaking is actually going to be put into action and make all of us who are like, oh, they're lying, they're just doing the PR spin. Do something. Have some action. Don't wait till the deadline and be stuck with your trade package in your hand.
See, so my only point, Jimmy, is that the type of teams that waffle or that can't decide are teams like the Tampa Bay Rays. So right now, Tampa Bay is 50-50. They're 5 out. 5 games out. Detroit, 6 games out. Texas is 7.5. That's the reigning world champion Texas Rangers. The Red Sox last week, or the week before, were in the playoffs. There was no gray area there. They were in. So that is a team that then has to look at it and say, well, with a couple of moves, can we get up to the next level? Can we make a run at some people, make their lives hard? Can we all of a sudden put ourselves in position to compete? Here's the other thing I want to mention really quickly. The comment there by Buster Olney. The no more waffling. Can we play that again at the beginning, Jimmy? Olney says no more waffling.
For 9 days until the trade deadline, a lot of teams are asking themselves, are we going to be buyers? Are we going to be sellers? Well, in this case, the Dodgers and the Red Sox appear as if they're going to be big buyers. The Dodgers, of course, looking for starting pitching. Garrett Crochet has been talked a lot about in the Dodgers organization. And on the Red Sox side, they also are in the market for starting pitching. No waffling this year compared to the last 2 seasons.
Stop. Perfect. Thank you. No waffling this year compared to the last 2 seasons. You know who that's a shot at? Bloom. And this is another, we haven't talked a lot about this. So let me just add this to the conversation now. Boy, Bloom's taking a lot of shots. He's taking a lot of hits. So how many times has Craig Breslow said, pick a lane? We will pick a lane by the deadline. As if to say we're not going to waffle like we did the last couple of years.
Okay, Tony, but with Bloom, the reports in the offseason from like Sean McAdam, Chris Cotillo were Bloom could not add salary at the trade deadline, which Sam Kennedy last week was like, no, we've always put our resources into the team. Who's lying here? Who do you think is lying?
Okay, so I'm not telling you that it's the truth. I'm just telling you that they're dumping a lot of it on Bloom.
But if he has payroll restrictions, how is that Bloom's fault?
Okay, it's not. But I think that that's the message that's coming out. This is the Red Sox way of putting it on Bloom. The waffling at the deadline. And look, I was going to say in fairness to Bloom, but I really mean in fairness to Red Sox ownership and management. Bloom did come out and say at one point, I don't necessarily believe that you have to pick one way or the other. He actually said that at one point. Which is it's a very hard thing for human beings to grasp. What are you doing at the deadline? It's a fish or cut bait kind of moment. That's what the deadline is. That's how people see it. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to win or not? So when you say, well, we trade Christian Vasquez and we do this, that's an indication that you're not trying to win. No matter how the GM wants to spin it, people can't process it that way. So now the Red Sox have made it clear. Again, just that comment by Craig Breslow over and over again, pick a lane. And now Buster Olney saying no waffling like the last 2 years. All of that is their attempt to dump it on Bloom.
Well, we'll see in 9 days, Tony.
Exactly. So you know what? Here we are. The trading deadline is now less than 2 weeks away, a little more than a week. The Red Sox can make moves, and by the way, they could have made them before now. They don't have to wait till the deadline to help the team. They can make them at any moment.
Be like the Kansas City Royals, who on Friday went out and they got Hunter Harvey, who you might say, oh, he's some bleep bum reliever. But you know what? He could pitch the 7th inning for you because you've got, who's the guy with the slider? Greg Wessert from the Yankees. He sucks now. So, like, a guy like Hunter Harvey, he can help you in the 6th or 7th inning. They just need a guy like that right now and then go more aggressively at the deadline for somebody who's more impactful, a starter, an 8th inning guy, a right-handed bat.
So I never understood fully why teams had to wait until the deadline.
They don't.
You can make a move now. If the Red Sox had another reliever in the series with the Dodgers, could they have won one of those games? Would that have them in the postseason right now instead of percentage points behind Kansas City? I don't know. Will that make a difference at the end? Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea. But every move, every game counts. It's a sprint now. It's a sprint. We always say the baseball season's a marathon. Now it's a sprint.
The problem is you have turtles in the front office who don't want to make moves.
So do you believe in them?
No.
Or do you not believe in them? That's one of the many things we'll get to tonight on the
Tony,
Baseball
make
Hour.
me believe. Do it. Make me believe.
617-779-0985. We'll get to your calls when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
Red Sox with the best record in Major League Baseball, as you know, since the 19th of May at 30-18. Are you convinced this is a playoff team and the Red Sox have to add in the second half?
Well, I think we first have to start with crediting the players on the field, the staff. But yeah, I think this team has put themselves in a position where we have to take them seriously, right? Like, the job that they have to do is win as many games as possible, and they're doing that, and they'll continue to do that. It's my hope, it's my expectation, and we need to be thinking about opportunities for us to improve the club.
This happened while I was gone, right before I left. That was the first half finale. Craig Breslow with Dave O'Brien during the weekend game against Kansas City. That was on Sunday. That came 2 days after, roughly 2 or 3 days after, Sam Kennedy did his weekly interview and proclaimed the Red Sox to be buyers at the deadline. That when the option or the opportunity popped up, they would buy at the deadline. So my question is this. If Sam Kennedy said it, I don't remember if it was Thursday. It had to be Thursday because I think we talked about it.
And Carabas was in on Thursday.
Okay, so you know what?
Carabas was in on Wednesday.
I take it back, Jimmy. It was Wednesday night. It was because I was out on Friday that week. So it was Wednesday night, and then again, Breslow says it 3 days later on Sunday. If Sam Kennedy says it, and he said it on the Nesson pregame show with Tom Caron, if Sam Kennedy says it on Wednesday, that the Red Sox, without question or no question, however Sam put it, would be a buyer at the deadline if the opportunity...
Without question.
Okay, there it is. Without question. Sam said it on the pregame show on Wednesday. Because, again, Jared was here, Jimmy. Very good. Why does Craig Breslow need to say it again Sunday on the broadcast? And you know why? 2 reasons. One bigger than the other. First of all, Breslow is the head of the baseball operation, and who knows how many people actually heard it on the pregame show. Okay? Most people don't watch the pregame show. Most people are watching in-game. So Breslow says it again on the game, or during the game. But more importantly, because when Sam said it on Wednesday, it made Breslow look like a puppet. Because up until that point, Breslow had done 2 interviews in the previous 4 days before Sam spoke, indicating no incentive at all or no willingness at all to acquire at the deadline. Played it very straight down the middle. We're not going to say. We don't know yet. We're still deciding. We're still evaluating. So there, somewhere in there, someone became sensitive to the idea that, well, Sam just cut the balls off of Craig Breslow. Okay, that's what it was, I think. So they had Breslow go out there during the game to deliver the same message. The question is whether or not you believe them. I think the Red Sox are going to add at this deadline. I think they almost have to. The team has warranted it, and most fans have lost all faith in the franchise. Nobody believes them anymore. Ownership and management has very low credibility. They can say what they want. And when I talk to any of them, and not that I do really anymore or all that often, I find them believable. But I'm not actually going to believe them until they do it. So let's see what they do with this deadline. I don't think it has to be anything huge, but they need to improve the team, and the areas are obvious. Starting pitcher, right-handed bat. I think a starting pitcher gets them some relief help because there'll be a trickle down through the staff. But if you're asking me to be real specific and put them in order, right-handed bat, lefty starter. That's what I would want. We'll go to your calls. Bill's in Connecticut. Bill, what do you got?
Hey, Tony, this is a money issue like everything is with the Red Sox. If they'd spent a little money years ago, signing Eovaldi to a contract, they would be faced with trying to trade for him and give up a top 3 prospect to do it. They should be doing what the Dodgers have done for a long time, which is signing free agents that don't require prospect capital. That's how they built their team, in addition to spending a ton of money, on top of that. But,
well, so Bill, look, it's both. It's both. You can draft and develop and sign free agents. They're not mutually exclusive. And look, way back when, This is how the Red Sox used to do it. They used to sign non-compensation free agents. You could manipulate the system a little bit more. They've taken some of those loopholes out. So, for example, the Red Sox used to be able to trade for guys in season who were going to be free agents, then let them go and get a compensation pick. So do you understand? You trade a scrub prospect for a player, you get that player, then you let the player go and you get the prospect back. Nifty little trick. You can't do that anymore. So, now, the money part of it, don't let them kid you. They still have enough money to add at this trading deadline. We looked it up 2 weeks ago. I keep saying last week. I wasn't here last week. The Red Sox have something like $18 million in space before they hit the luxury tax. That's $18 million over the course of a full season. You now have less than half the year left. That means you could take on, in theory, a $35 million player, but because you're only paying half of his salary, he's only going to count 17.5 on your book. You got it? So you can make moves. Not to mention the fact that you'll be sending salary out the door, maybe, in some of these deals. They can add something substantive, define that however you want. So, for example, the name that's being thrown around, Jameson Taillon, who's with the Cubs, signed for 2 more years at $18 million per. His luxury tax number is $17 million. The Red Sox can add Taillon and only pay him $8 million this year. They'll still have another 10 to go get someone else. If they wanted to, they could add a right-handed bat and a left-handed pitcher. Taillon's a right-handed pitcher, but you get the idea. And the fact that Taillon is signed for the next couple of years, they should be looking at that too, to take the contract off of someone. It means you'd have to give up less to get him, and you're going to need pitching anyway, and the free agent market sucks. So don't just make a move for this year. Make a move for 2025 and beyond too. Martin in Texas. Martin, what do you got?
Hey, Tony, I just wanted to say that as long as they keep the team from snowballing, do this Colorado series and they can just right the ship a little bit, that's all it's going to keep them from being able to buy. But they don't have to go out and spend big trades or big prospects of some of these guys and get like the Taillons of the world or the Duvals or something like that. And it would just go a lot further than I think most people think.
Definitely. Look, Martin, you're talking about strategic acquisitions at this time of year. Okay? The biggest problem on the team right now is they can't hit left-handed pitching. So the Red Sox had a minor issue like this in 2018. It wasn't as big as an issue as it is now, but they had some difficulty with left-handed pitching. So you know what they did? They went out and got Steve Pearce, who ended up being MVP of the World Series. Steve Pearce is a bench player. But he is your perfect guy to plop into your lineup as a DH when you're facing lefties because he pounds left-handed pitching. Pounds it. And by the way, the right-handed bat who can hit left-handed pitching is not exactly a unique commodity. You can find that. Rob Refsnyder is that kind of player. Now, unfortunately, you need more of it. So now, ideally, you would I'll give you a good one. Justin Turner with the Blue Jays. I would love Vladimir Guerrero, but the Blue Jays aren't going to move him. I don't think. They're going to try to make another run with the guys they have. Fine. But Justin Turner, I'd bring him back here. Could play a little first base while you're waiting for Casas to come back. And even if Casas doesn't come all the way back, you can still put him there. And if you have to remove him later in the game for someone who's a better defender, fine. Your defense is going to suck anyway at this stage. Why not Justin Turner? He could help your lineup. The Red Sox inability to hit lefties, big problem. Okay, big problem. Something Alex Cora said about this trade deadline and how he's going to handle it that I think is extremely important. We'll get to that when we come back on the baseball hour. Kevin Majori's got your headlines. Don't go anywhere.
Sports Hub headlines.
The Red Sox opened up the second half of their season.
middle of the order guy, but he's been out the last, 3 months with the rib fracture. Sort of the same update for him as we got from Mookie Betts when we see him back in the lineup.
They really don't know when Casas is going to be back. There was a hope that he was going to be back sometime in July, but he's had continued discomfort with that rib area. So they don't know if he's going to be back in early August or maybe late August, maybe September. They're just not sure. They're in the trade market right now, not only looking for a starting pitcher, they're in the conversations for the names that we mentioned before, but they're also looking for a right-handed hitting infielder. Wouldn't surprise me if they got a right-handed first baseman because of the uncertainty around Casas.
It's also Buster Olney last night before the game talking about the Red Sox needs. And I mentioned someone like Justin Turner, who's having a bad year with the Blue Jays. I think everybody with the Blue Jays having a bad year. But Turner, against left-handed pitching, .295 and an OPS of .812. Okay, this is exactly the kind of guy you're looking for. He's only got one home run, but you can plug him in against lefties. I'm assuming he's healthy. If he's not healthy or someone let me know. But it's that kind of guy. Wouldn't cost you a lot. You know what he can do. You know what he'll bring to your clubhouse. Like, there's value add there for a guy like Turner. Like, that should be an easy one. I'm just, I'm spitballing. I can come up with Justin Turner. There'll be other teams interested in him. Maybe some will be turned off because he's on the older side. He's having a bad year. But he comes here, he probably likes Cora. Cora likes him. Like, feels like there's a relationship there. It's a guy who's played in the postseason, a guy who's won. Would make a lot of sense. That's the kind of guy you should be looking for. So I do think the Red Sox are going to do something. I do. I think they're going to add. I don't know what. I don't know how big. If you are expecting a blockbuster involving one of their 3 top prospects, and those are Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, and Kyle Teal, the catcher. They're not going to move any one of those guys. No shot. But I will tell you another thing I like about this, and this gets way down the road. The Red Sox being in the spot they're in right now means this offseason, no excuses. You have a team that contended for a playoff spot, may get in yet, and if you were going to add at this deadline, you can add pieces now that can help the team in 2025 and beyond. So no more of this rebuilding bullcrap. I'd like to think that part of it is over. The Red Sox missed a window last offseason because the free agent market was good. And they could have gotten some help there that put them in a better spot. They didn't. So now they're going to have to get it another way. This was one of my complaints with the approach last winter. We're not ready to spend. Oh, bullcrap. You can compete while you're building. You can do that because you're still going to have to go out and get pitching now. Dean's in Shrewsbury. Dean, go ahead.
I think the Red Sox will spend the luxury tax, but Mazz, I'm more concerned about your take on Justin Turner. He was bought out by the Red Sox for like $7 million, so they didn't want him, and the Blue Jays signed him for $13 million, and now he's having the worst year of his career. Like, why would we ever take on that contract? They'd have to give us prospects like in return for us to even think about taking on that contract.
Okay, so what, Dean, maybe they eat some of the money. Okay, now, I think it was a 1-year deal for Turner. I'll look it up. I don't think it was a 2-year deal. I'll see if I can, let me see if I can look that up quickly. Just hammering away here, trying to do 2 things at once. So Turner, to me, had to be a 1-year deal at his age. I can't imagine. It was a 1-year, $13 million contract. So again, he has about $6 million left on that deal. So you're not taking on the 13, you're taking on the 6. And if the Blue Jays, so this is a decision you have to make. Would you rather give them nothing and take on the $6 million, or would you rather give them a little something and pay only 3? I'd rather give them nothing and take on the $6 million. And Dean, when you say he's having the worst year of his career, he might be done. But my point is, this is the kind of player you need. He can hit left-handed pitching still. He's got an OPS over 800 against lefties this year. That's the only situation you're going to use him. And you put him into a race, bring him back here. I don't know. Do you tap into something for a couple of months? That's all you're looking to do. You're not looking to build a championship team around him for next year. He's here for 2 months. Then he's gone. Our buddy Tommy and Lynn. What do you got, Tommy?
What's up, Mazz? Mazz, this is what I got to say tonight. The Red Sox, they need to be buyers at the deadline. They're competing, but, yeah, they got swept this weekend against the Dodgers. They just got to come back to reality and spend. Open up that wallet, Mr. Henry, if you're listening to the hub. Right, Mazz, he needs to spend. Bring back Justin Turner for a one-year thing. So if they want to compete in the playoffs, right now they're in it, Mazz. You know that. They're in it.
So, Tommy, look, to me, this is absolutely an ad scenario. The only question is how much they add and what they're willing to give up. So, like, people throwing around some of these crazy names that are out there, you know, Garrett Crochet. To me, those are the wrong ones to be looking at. And look, I would love to tell you the Red Sox are going to call the Blue Jays and get Vladimir Guerrero. That would change your team. Think of that. I said this earlier. Think of how much Vladimir Guerrero would change your team. The middle of your lineup, not just for this year, but next year and beyond, if you're willing to sign him, and that's a big if, would be Devers, Guerrero, Casas. That is pretty damn good. That is a championship caliber middle of the order. And Casas, we still don't entirely know what he is, but he's your fifth guy. Devers, Guerrero, back-to-back is damn good, probably as good as anybody in baseball. So you would take that in a minute. Now, again, I don't know whether they pay him. I don't think there's a chance of them doing it. But beyond that, there are still plenty of other deals you can make. Andrew Heaney, left-hander with Texas. Give it a shot. Jamison Taillon with the Cubs. Right-handed pitcher who's got a couple more years left on his deal. Trade for him. Take on the contract. You're going to have to do something like that to get pitching. You're going to have to do it. The Red Sox put themselves in a spot here where they have some positional prospects coming through the system. Craig Breslow's on record as saying this. They need pitching. How are they going to get it? You've got to trade for it now because it's not going to be on the free agent market. This was the real sin of last offseason. Had they gone out and signed Imanaga or Yamamoto or somebody with a little bit more of a pulse than what they got, they'd be better this year because they'd also have someone else in their bullpen as a result of having these starters. And B, they wouldn't have to trade prospects to get the guy now. And they'd be in a better spot for the future. This was the whole point of going out and get pitching last offseason, but they didn't do it. Their answer was Lucas Giolito. Nice move. Dennis in a car. Dennis, go ahead.
What's up, Tony? So I flew out.
Dennis, I lost you. Sit tight. I'll put you on hold. Hopefully we'll get you back here in a second. Brian in Texas. Brian, go ahead.
Anthony, good evening. Hey, I'm down in Texas here. It seems like the whole crew around here is resigned to them being sellers since they're blowing it after winning the series. But what's the chatter on Eovaldi? Any chance of him coming back to Boston?
Brian, I would say yes. I mean, again, now I'll look up Eovaldi's contract. I'm pretty sure his was a 2-year deal, I think, with a vesting option, if I remember right. I'll see if I can get the exact details of the contract. It was about 2 years, $34 million. Base salary is $16 million. He has a vesting option for next year at $20 million. I don't remember what it was that makes the option vest. I'd have to look up the particulars of that, so give me 1 second. But in terms of his performance this year, Eovaldi to me has always been kind of a rock. So 99 innings, 6-4, 3.36 ERA, exactly what you'd expect. 94 strikeouts, 26 walks. He's been, everything that you would expect him to be. So my answer would be yes on Eovaldi. And again, you might be able to get him for a little less because the option is going to vest, and Let's see. The option is if he pitches 300 innings across the last 2 seasons. Last season, he pitched. Okay, he's going to get that. He's at 243 right now. As soon as he gets to 300, that option for next year is going to kick in for $20 million. But why wouldn't you want that? I would want that. That's another good one. Sure. I've heard other people raise his name too. I just didn't know the particulars. Jay in Providence with a good question from something that happened today. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, the Dodgers just DFA'd Paxton. I know he was struggling lately, but his last couple starts were okay. I don't know. What do you think about bringing him back?
Okay, Jimmy Stewart, James Paxton, yes or no?
I'd give it a crack. He pitched well here. He's pitched well for the Dodgers. He's taken the baseball every turn.
Me
and
too.
they cut him because I think that they're anticipating getting their starters back. But for the Red Sox, yeah, absolutely. I'd take a flyer on it.
Me too. Me too.
And you know what the important thing is, Tony? Is that it doesn't cost any of your precious prospects.
Correct.
It only costs money.
Correct. So you can, you take a pick here. I mean, you make your, it's a choice is my point. You can either trade for him, take on the contract, or let him get released. But my guess is someone's going to trade for Paxton before he gets out on the, free agent market. But yes, again, someone they've had and they know what they're getting into. Take a shot. I don't know what the commitment is beyond this season. So I'll check that during the break. And when we come back, somebody in this building mocked the idea of Jarren Duran being in the All-Star game.
Tyler Milliken, spare me.
So we'll relive some of that when we come back and wrap it up on the Baseball Hour.
This is the Baseball Hour with Tony Mazz.
Hey, it's Mazz from Bigelow Tea.
I look at Jarren Duran and say, if Jarren Duran's an all-star game, they really should cancel the event. Okay, if that's what it's come to, if Jarren Duran is the guy that America's going to stop everything it's doing in the middle of summer to watch a baseball game, then we really should just pull the plug on the thing now.
Here's a high fly ball off of the bat of Jarren Duran. That one will leave the yard and give the American League its first lead of the night. Boy, this dream season for Jarren Duran continues here with a home run in the All-Star game.
Make it a skills competition, and that's the end of it. And I'm not telling you he blows. I'm just telling you he's not an all-star.
The Ted Williams MVP, Jarren Duran from the Red Sox.
He's not the kind of guy I look at and say, I'm going to win a championship with that guy in the middle of my lineup. And I know he bats leadoff. Okay, there's something about him that I still have trouble taking seriously. He's not really a prospect. He's sort of a 4A player. He's having a nice year.
You got the game-winning home run in an All-Star game. When you sit down on the plane to go home, what will you take in from this whole experience?
Probably hanging out with those guys in the clubhouse, man. There's so many good guys in that clubhouse. I mean, there's guys that are supposed to be our rivals in our division, but they're such awesome guys. It's going to be hard to play against them coming up because they're such good guys, and it's going to be super fun.
I think all-star, I think Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper, Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout. I'm thinking about the very best of the best in the game.
Household names.
I'm not thinking of Brock Holt and Jarren Duran.
Well, that didn't age well. I admit it. I was wrong. Jarren Duran should probably send me the thank you note. As soon as I shot my mouth off, it was guaranteed he was going to do something in that All-Star game. And you know what? Good for him. He's a good story. I'll just add quickly, I meant to get back to something Alex Cora said with regard to the trading deadline, how he's going to handle that locker room. I'm going to put that off. I will do that tomorrow night. But I will add just quickly about Jarren Duran while I'm on the topic. Sean McAdam of Mass Live wrote today that the Red Sox should explore the idea of signing Jarren Duran to a long-term contract. And this is something the Red Sox are doing with a number of their players. They've done it with Brian Bale. They've done it with Ceddanne Rafaela. They've tried with Casas to no avail yet. They have not signed Tanner Houck, who's another guy they should be considering. And they've not yet signed Jarren Duran, who presumably would be one of those guys they also want to sign. Jimmy Stewart, let me just ask you quickly before we turn it over to Matt McCarthy here. Actually, you know what? Let me ask Matt McCarthy, since Matt's here. You're a baseball guy. Jimmy, don't take it personally.
I take everything personally.
Matt, would you sign Jarren Duran to a long-term contract?
I'd hesitate.
Why?
He's having a great year. I think he's a good ball player. But as he ages, that speed becomes a little... I worry about speed guys, Mazz. I do. Particularly with how crowded their outfield is going to be moving forward. Put it this way. I kick the can down the road until this offseason, and you're going to have to move an outfielder this offseason. I would not rule out the possibility of moving him if you believe in Roman Anthony that much. So it's kind of a wishy-washy answer for tonight, but I'm certainly not doing it tonight. Talk to me this offseason, but the speed thing worries me.
Trade him this offseason.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. My answer is no, but not for the reasons you guys think. Here's why my answer is no. Jarren Duran's 28 years old, okay? You've got him for the next 4 years anyway. You've got him for 25, 26, 27, and 28.
That's a good point.
He's not going anywhere.
But think of the prospects that you can get for your farm system.
Okay, but that's a different question, Jimmy. You're talking about trading him now. I'm talking about signing him.
Oh, no, I don't sign him.
Right.
I move on from him.
Do you want Jarren Duran beyond the age of 32 is what you're asking?
Exactly. You've already got him locked up for the next 4 years. He can't leave. He's not eligible for free agency, I think, till 2029. This is 2024. So you don't have to move him. You don't have to sign him. Someone like Rafaela, someone like Bayo, you're getting him in his prime years. You're controlling arbitration costs. Like if he wants to go to free agency at age 30, you're probably going to let that guy go. The Red Sox want to avoid signing guys like Duran when they get to free agency, not lock him up now. They already got him. They've already got him. Now, you might be able to save yourself a few bucks in arbitration and stuff like that. You can see how that one plays out. But he's 28. You've already got him for the next 4. You know, those other guys are 24, 25. You're signing them to deals, and you try to extend potentially into their early 30s. So you keep them beyond that 6-year window. This guy's going to be 32 when you get to that stage. To me, you don't have to sign Jarren Duran. I disagree with McAdam. It's different when you say, and you know, Tanner Houck might be in the same boat. Like, I'd have to look. I think Houck is up for free agency a little before this guy. But I would not sign Jarren Duran. I wouldn't. I've already gone over here. I'm cutting to Matt's time.
Oh, Mazz, you can take it all night long. We're here until 11 o'clock. This is day 8 out of 8 for me. You want to stick around until 11?
Nope.
All right. See you later.
I'd rather stick needles in my eyes. McCarthy's got you for the balance of the night. Majority's got your headlines. We'll catch you tomorrow.